You might not believe me, but being an introvert is actually a life hack. I'm going to explain why I feel this way and go over some of the benefits and great things about being an introvert. But before I get into that, I just want to let you guys know I did recently add YouTube membership tiers on my channel. So if you want to show some support, if you want to help the channel grow, please consider signing up for one of the tiers. There's no obligation, there's some cool perks you get with signing up, so just wanted to get that out of the way. Now, let's get started on discussing about the great things of being an introvert. So, the first thing I want to discuss is it's okay that it's okay to feel that you feel different, because I went through feeling this way a lot during my life, of feeling like there was something wrong with me. And I'm just here to tell you before I get into this, there's nothing wrong with you if you are an introvert. It's easy to get wrapped up in feeling that way because of society and the way the world is and the way people kind of view people that are introverts and that are to themselves. And I'm just here to tell you that there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you if you're an introvert. There's nothing wrong with being to yourself. That's who you are. That's how you're wired. And there's a lot of great things that come from that. And with that being said, I want to talk about, like I said, the benefits. So the first thing is being comfortable being alone with yourself. Now, this is something I look back on, and I kind of taken this for granted throughout my life, because there's a lot of people you realize, like, they can't be with themselves. They need other people to feel wanted, to feel happy in life, they need external validation. A lot of times introverts, we can get it just from ourselves. And now that's not always the case. It's always nice to have some type of external validation, of course, but for the most part, we're comfortable with ourselves and being in our own skin. So we can get it from within a lot of the times. And a lot of people, like extroverts, or people that are just, very talkative and that are very dependent on people for validation, they don't really have that luxury. They feel like it's weird. They get exhausted being by themselves. Like me being an introvert, I get exhausted from being in social settings for too long, or being in big crowds or big groups of people, or talking to people I'm not comfortable with. It gets very exhausting. But you see, with extroverts, it's the opposite. And I like I said, I like being with myself more than, I'd much rather stay in than go out to some party, some festival, some club any day of the week. And a lot of people, they can't do that. They need to be surrounded by people, whether they know them or not. They need that validation. And with that, it definitely comes with less social pressures, right? When you're not surrounded by so many people all the time, you feel less pressure from your peers, because you're not surrounded by, and worried about so many other people's opinions about you. Imagine going out every day and you have to make new friends and be around people you're not comfortable with and do things that you're not familiar with. Again, it's good sometimes to get out, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's okay to embrace who you are and how you're wired to be. There's nothing wrong with wanting to stay inside more than wanting to go out. And a lot of times, throughout life, you feel like you get judged for that because people look at you like it's weird, but it's not. That's just who you are. And like I said, you don't have to deal with all the pressures and the judgment as much as other people do, specifically extroverts that go out all the time. So, and that leads to less toxic relationships, because chances are, obviously this is not 100% concrete thing, but I feel that introverts have better friendships and long-term friendships with people because their friends are like-minded people, and introverts, they don't have as much social interactions with other people, so they tend to connect with the people they're already friends with, and they tend to grow and share that bond, where people that need to go out all the time and have a million different friends, they're not really getting close with their friends. They're not really bonding with their quote-unquote friends, because they're just always hopping around to try and make other friends and meet new people. And with that, it comes a lot of snake friends, shady friends, and you meet shady people. And again, like I said, of course, introverts, you're going to have some toxic friendships. You're going to meet bad people. But the point is it's better to be keeping your circle smaller with people that you're comfortable with and people that have, shown that they're interested in being your friend and not just using you for something. And I think it's easier for introverts to spot that out because they're a little more self-aware. I think we have a little bit more awareness in just conversations, and we have more of a wall, and it could be a bad thing, but it also can be a good thing. You're a little more cautious of who you're talking to and who you're befriending, where extroverts, they're just looking to be friends with anybody and everybody. They're just looking to talk to whoever, and they don't really care. They just want to talk to somebody. So I think that's definitely a bullet that introverts get to dodge. Again, it's not 100% bulletproof, but it's nice. And that can just come along with also just, I believe, with being an introvert and you don't need as much external validation, you find it more easier to self-motivate yourself. Now, I'm not saying self-motivation is easy, but I think if your brain is wired to be, you're more comfortable with just having alone time with you, if you explore that a little bit, I think you can become more self-motivated than someone that's an extrovert and that always is seeking validation from other people. So you just, again, with self-motivation, you need to truly believe in yourself, and that comes from within. But if you're already comfortable with being with you, then you should be able to turn that into self-motivation. And and like I said, just because you're an introvert obviously doesn't mean that you have self-motivation, because again, I think for me at least, growing up, it's always looked at as kind of bad and that you're kind of weird, or that, whatever the case may be, you're quiet and all that. So a lot of times we think it's bad, but it's not. And once you realize being an introvert is awesome and it's not a bad thing, that will help with your motivation, and that'll help from, having more confidence in yourself. And it also just has a lot of, I feel, you're less impulsive because, again, you don't have that peer pressure around you, to make bad decisions. Again, introverts, of course, can make bad decisions, but you're in your mind more, and that could be a bad thing, but it also can be a good thing because you're more, like I said, aware. You have more mental and emotional awareness of everything because you're in your mind and you're constantly, watching, and you overanalyze. Like I said, I made a previous video about overthinking can be a superpower. It's about using these the way your mind is set up. You have to, again, rewire your brain into using it as a superpower at the end of the day, and you can do that. It's hard, it's not easy, and it takes time. Because, I just look at myself 10 years ago, and I'm just such a completely different person. Because, again, for the longest time, I thought there was something wrong with how I was. But it's not. So, for anyone that's an introvert out there, anyone that's, not a social butterfly, and anyone that's, just more to themselves, and that maybe you think there's something wrong with you, there's nothing wrong with you at all. That's just the way you're wired. And use it to your benefit. Use it to your advantage. So, I hope this video helped you guys out. Please leave your comments and thoughts down below. And I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.